Good morning. I'm Bill Doulos. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. I know most of you, hopefully all of you, don't see me in that light. You see me as a deacon in the Church of Our Saviour. However, part of my past is a memory that I don't celebrate, but I do celebrate my recovery. And today is a day, in addition to Father's Day, when we celebrate recovery. This July, in a week or so, will be the 18th year of my service at Church of Our Saviour on behalf of Jubilee Homes. We celebrate this day every June to keep in our mind and in our hearts the realization that we have 4 homes that house 50 people at a time, even during this pandemic, which is symbolic of the outreach ministry, the generosity, and the love of this congregation and many others in our community who support our work. So it is my great privilege this morning to host 4 people one from each of our homes, who are going to share their experience, strength, and hope with you. And we usually have cake and punch on the lawn after church, but we haven't figured out technologically how to do that in a virtual way. So I owe you that. Next year we'll have double cake and double punch. So our first guest is Robert, who will talk about his experience, strength, and hope at the El Nido home.
Hello everybody, I'm Robert. I'm an alcoholic. I live at the Jubilee Homes Transitional Living. I've been there for 1 year tomorrow, and I'm grateful for the homes giving me a safe place to live with affordable housing, and I'm grateful for Bill Doulos and this church for supplying us and helping us with our needs there. So 1 year ago today, I was totally hopeless, broke, spiritually sick, down on my luck, and the day I arrived at Jubilee Homes, the obsession for alcohol was immediately removed from me. I got busy with the 12-step program, and I recovered in about 2 months there with a good sponsor that I have, Frank. And I don't know, I'd just like to say that, my life before this was just full of crime and selfishness and hopelessness, depression, anxiety, and my life has changed ever since I've been in the home. Today I'm a productive member of society. I have a good job. I have my apartment there at the Jubilee Homes. I'm proud of who I am today. I became now I'm a grandfather, a dad, and a good friend to most people. I sponsor a lot of people in AA, and I have a life because of the God that I have today. And when I got here, I didn't believe so much in God. Now I'm a 100% believer that God is the most important thing in my life today. And I use my higher power to make most of the decisions that come across that are difficult in my life. I'm just very happy that I was asked to come here today and speak. I love Bill Doulos. He's been a part of my home group for quite a while, and I've known him for years, and he's just a very generous man and has really helped me so much. During the COVID that we've just been through, I got a little irritated and restless, you could say, and without the meetings that I attend, but Jubilee Homes was able to provide me with meetings and social distancing and all the equipment that we needed to stay safe, and protocols they used to keep us safe. And I'm very grateful for that. I just know that today that I have a great life, and I used to sponsor people at Jubilee Homes. I remember back in years ago, and then I relapsed. And then I came here and found a whole new higher power, you could say, and it has driven my life, and I haven't turned back ever since that I've put down the drink the day before I came in here. I don't know, I'm just very excited to have this opportunity to speak with you guys, and I recommend Jubilee Homes and this church to anyone who's struggling with alcohol or addiction. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. I'm pretty much addicted to everything that I like. So that includes shopping, whatever it is. At one point I had 2,000 record albums, which I sold, and now I have 2,000 CDs in storage. So that's kind of a thing for me. My great-grandfather is actually Bishop Gooden, who was the Episcopal Bishop of Los Angeles for in like the 70s, I guess. I didn't make that connection until I was in the house for a couple years probably. I didn't even know about the Gooden Recovery Center. We'd heard a lot about how he was a headmaster of Harvard School at one, a long time ago. But it's just interesting. I think my great aunt used to go here probably a while ago before she passed. So let's see. My grandmother, his daughter, was not really religious, though she didn't believe in an afterlife. But because my dad played the organ, we went to church. And then we kind of had a revival, like when I was around 17, we all got saved. Basically, it was a whole thing in our diocese in Pittsburgh. Then at college, I kind of faded away and learned more about Zen and different things and take it less literally. But because of some childhood things, so basically I started rebelling against what had happened, even though that was resolved. That's when I started partying. I had been at college for 3 years and not drank, so I was trying to be a good kid. And then my brothers and sisters had rebelled, and then it kind of inspired me to do the same thing. So I had a couple periods when I drank a lot, like about 7 years, ending in 92. Then one day I was just walking into, I was trying to get clean. I was going to a bunch of meetings repeatedly, keep coming back. And then I was walking into my apartment one day, and instead of trying to quit drinking until my life was better and then drink more, it just popped into my head almost like a prayer from God, almost like a thought or a prayer. What about never drinking again? And I just kind of became willing to do that. And then I didn't need to drink after that. Like I could go out with people. Weird, the obsession was kind of taken away from me. But that lasted about 12 years. Then I moved to the arts district downtown, and I was thinking, recording some music at home, and I feel like I had to go out more. And I didn't feel like I didn't have to drive because I could walk home. So there was a lot of alcohol. So I started drinking again, and then got into some bands later. That was about 10 years worth. And at the end, I just couldn't do it anymore. There's drugs in the middle of there, cocaine. I tried meth for about 5 months, and then I just decided I hated it. But in the end, I quit coke. I had like heart issues. I was just down to drinking and cigarettes, and I couldn't even handle that. I would wake up with bottles of sake and like 20 or 30 bottles all around me, looking for a job. So then I took a payout to move out of that place. Then that was running out, and I got clean from having to go to meetings from a DUI that I had after my mom died. Then I just really needed a place to live because they were renovating our place. I took a payout, like I said, and that ran out. So I needed a place to live, and then a girl that I had gone to Skid Row with to feed people on Sundays, where I would sing and do some worship songs over there. She knew a place that was full, but they had me call Jubilee Homes, and then I called the manager, Jim. And I didn't know much about the homes or whatever, but that was just a relief that I could have a place that I could afford for a while. And the hardest thing for me in life really is finding jobs. It's the hardest thing for me to do, or a career. I'm still looking for that. I'm pretty old, I better hurry up. But so I just, looking for a job is really hard. So I didn't have a job because of the drinking. I used to upload products to a big company's website, famous company, and but I didn't have a job. So I needed a place that I could afford. I think I just said that already. Then my roommate knew of, I worked at ABM cleaning the Rose Bowl, but that job was seasonal, only during football season. In the first half of the year, there's really no money. So I'd have to go on welfare for that part and food stamps. And there was a time when I couldn't pay the rent, and they were very generous with me and let me, it was about 3 months that I couldn't pay, and they, let me go for that amount of time until I guess basically till the season started again. And it was a huge help, and then I was on a payment plan later. That saved me from being on the street. So I thank Jubilee Homes for that endlessly. Finally, I was able to pay it off with the COVID stimulus money, so that was good. The other thing, like I said, I just needed a place. Then later I got a job finally for 14 months, so I was able to buy my roommate's car, fix it, get a new catalytic converter, get the insurance, get an interlock device, get my license back, and I just got my license back like 3 weeks ago. So finally I'm driving around like a normal human being. It's great. And was able to, like I said, to pay off the house, and having all those guys around has really been a help. Like I'm more introverted, I'd rather be alone, but I really think it's helped me to learn how to deal with other people. We have a really good house with a lot of cool people. We get along really well. Occasional person will come in and out, not that great, but it's really good. And they help me to stay sober. We have meetings, people cook meals, cook house meals and stuff like that. So I guess that's pretty much it. I've been there quite a while. I've been sober almost 6 years in September, and it's time to move out, but it's been a really big help, and I thank everyone involved.
Hello, my name is Guy Barney. I'm an alcoholic addict. I'd like to thank Jubilee Homes and Bill Doulos and Church of Our Saviour for having me here to speak. It's funny, I have some family members that used to attend this church, Patricia Shirey being one of them. And I remember her singing in the choir, and my father as well used to come to this church and join Bill and his house at a lot of the baseball games and church dinners, and I'm just so thankful to be here today, and I'm just very happy in my life, and I'm at peace. I grew up with an alcoholic father and a mother who was addicted to smoking as well, and they brought me up the best they could. My mother and father divorced back in '86, and I moved out with her to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I pretty much cut ties with my father after that. He was heavily in his addiction at the time, and I loved him, but I couldn't be around him, for my safety and for my mother's safety, and so I didn't know much about him. I would see him maybe once a year. I'd come out here back to California to see him, and we'd spend some time together, and then I'd go, and I think for me, Jubilee Homes has been a wonderful thing for most of my family. It's my father got sober in 1999, and he had a fellowship of AA around him, and a lot of support from this church as well. And so he called me back in 2004 and made an amends to me. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I just knew he was in some kind of program and found God in his life, and he was sober all the way up to the day he died in June 2017. And I was still, during that whole time, I was myself an addict as well. I didn't admit it. I was afraid to let people know that I was an addict, so I hid it. And, I had a good job. I had, money. I had everything most people look for in a life, but deep down I was missing something, and that was a higher power, God. And, I thought drugs and alcohol were a solution, and it wasn't. For me, working the program and the steps, finding a higher power in God was the key. there's a third step prayer that was the key to my sobriety and still is. It gave me peace. It gave me love in myself, which now I can love others and be of service to others. And that's brought me a lot of joy and happiness. And, I think finding a higher power and love is from where I live now. It came from where I live now. Is in a house like Jubilee Homes and Raymond House specifically. I have a family now. I have a family that supports me, that's helped me become the person that I've strived to be, but I didn't know how to do it. And now, I've been living there for about 2.5 years, and I can be of service now to others who are new to the program, who are coming through Jubilee Homes, and it gives me a lot of joy. It gives me a lot of pride. It gets me out of myself and in serving others, and that's what I love about Jubilee Homes and Church of Our Saviour. And I have peace now with everything that's going on in the world. I'm especially thankful for my sobriety and my newfound care and higher power. I can see it happening around me and be in that peace and not have to thrive in my addictions, and I can look at what's going on the news and around me and think of ways to be of service, and that's what I do now. And that's also been my profession. I've been working at a homeless shelter now through Friends Indeed on Lake Avenue, and I can't ask for a better life right now. I didn't know it existed. And so I'm just very happy, and I thank you all for letting me be here and speak, and thank you.
My name is Christine. I am a grateful recovering alcoholic. I'm very grateful to have the honor of sharing a little bit of my story today. My experience, strength, and hope, and my experience at Jubilee Homes, which has been a total blessing for me. I never would have expected growing up in the world that I grew up in that I would become an alcoholic. It's something that I would never, dreamed would happen to me. I come from a suburban background. I was a very excellent athlete growing up. I was a go-getter, very ambitious, and I actually really was opposed to drugs and alcohol growing up. I have 2 older brothers that would experiment, and it really frightened me. So I'm what you call a late bloomer. I really didn't start on my alcoholic journey until probably my mid to late 20s. And I have what they call the allergy, where as soon as I started partaking in like weekend style drinking and things like that, I just immediately enjoyed the feeling. And soon it just became more frequent. And I went from, over a period of 10 years from having, a marriage, a corporate job, this cookie cutter lifestyle, to losing everything really. So the experience of alcoholism is one that I think of as just complete sadness and grief. There's a lot of loss in addiction, but there's always hope. And I found hope when I found rehabilitation and finally surrendered to a higher power to let my God intervene in my life and take me forward in recovery. And that happened 16 months ago finally. I made my way to Pasadena and ended up getting into a rehab here locally. And that's where I started to meet other people like me in recovery. And so really Jubilee represents to me my family in recovery. It's just the next step forward for me in my journey of recovery. It was through other people in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous that I was able to find Jubilee homes, actually. And I say it's a God shot that, you know, when I met Dixie, it was actually here at the church at a dinner. I was the guest of another resident in Jubilee homes, and we talked, and there was an opening, and it was just perfect timing. So I was able to actually integrate myself into the family of Jubilee Homes, and the experience of it, again, is just a continuum of my recovery. It is a community. I really honestly feel that Jubilee is a family. It's like my security blanket in early recovery. I'm very grateful, and what I'm learning, you know, is that there is no other experience like communicating and having a relationship with somebody who understands the road that you've walked. There is just a deep and pure understanding and reciprocal love that goes on. And so, you know, learning how to have human relationships when you've hit the bottom in your life is difficult. It's hard to face the world. But I live in a house full of other women that are also very committed to their recovery, and we support each other through, you know, the new challenges that we're facing as we go forward. So I'm very, very grateful. I feel very blessed and lucky. I actually believe that God is working through Jubilee in my life. I totally, absolutely believe that, and I'm very grateful also for the fact that I was brought up to know God. So that's never been a challenge for me in terms of understanding that there is a higher power. You know, I'm learning to be grateful every day and asking, you know, that the Lord lead me in the right path. And I'm just in a very supportive environment. It's wonderful. We have dinners, well, not right now, thanks to COVID, but, you know, part of Jubilee is the whole community. And so that's extremely important as you begin the road of recovery. And that's what I really enjoy the most out of Jubilee. I just really appreciate it. Thank you.